Good night, one and all. It's always glad to be here back again. It's been years. You know, our favorite internet provider had inconvenienced us. But guess what? Every week, me da ask soon. Every single second of the day, me a ask when me I go get for soon. And thank God that them come back and fix the thing. And now I'm here. And guess what? Tonight, I always have to bring a little gift for you guys. Me have to, say me have to surprise now. Tonight, we have the guest of guesses. Tonight, I have none other than. Nah, telling me yet. Nah, telling me. So I'm telling you what this man is about. He is a community and youth advocate, motivational speaker, husband, and a father. The author of the book entitled Please Give Me $1. He wrote this book to inspire those wanting to find their purpose, passion, and calling, compact with life lessons he learned. Tonight we have none other than, I said none other than, Mr. Terence Doctor.
How you doing? Peace and blessings. How you doing?
Good night. Good night.
How you doing? Pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you here tonight. How is the day going so far?
It's going all right. It's going all right. I can't complain. How's your day?
You know, it's been up and down, but you know, it's always glad to come back and say hi to the peeps.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, the pleasure is all ours. So, Mr. Terence Doctor, I want, I'm thinking about it. I'm reading the title and I say, no, sir, this is nothing less than genius. Me I say, no, man, no ordinary person could have sit down and just come up with this. Someone you really tell me, where would I really go on in your mind when I think about the title?
Honestly, for me, the title was the easiest part to come up with. Shockingly, it was the easiest part. Yeah, it was shockingly. It was really easy. For me, my happiness it doesn't take a lot to make me happy. So when I said please give me $1, please, I equated my happiness to $1. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it didn't take long. I actually thought of the title fairly quick because I know, like, for some other people, their happiness might come in, a whole bunch of materialistic things.
Yeah.
Well, mine doesn't necessarily come with that. So for me, as far as my happiness, I wanted to make it something that inspired me and something that I was striving towards. So, $1, to some people, may not be much, but if you're in need of an actual dollar and it's hard to find it, when you get it, you appreciate it. So I just wanted to make it, something just related my happiness to $1.
Come to think of it, it's hard to find somebody to have such a cheap happiness.
Yeah, it's for some people, it's, man, another day above ground is a blessing. So I just learned to just take it all in stride.
Yeah, but happiness, like a lot of people are struggling out there with depression and a severe sadness, because depression and sadness could be different things. And a lot of them are out there hungry for that happiness. So to say, give me $1 to show that we can have $1 and be happy. How is that even possible? Please enlighten us.
I think it's possible because, everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own purpose. Everybody has their own journey. For me, I don't really solely put my happiness, like I said, in materialistic things. For me, self-love and self-worth, like, I don't really think that you could put a price on any of that. A lot of people in the world have no idea how to love themselves, or they don't know their purpose, or they don't know their passion. So for me, it's like, man, if I can equate my happiness, like I just want my happiness. Like I want to go through life truly happy in every area of my life. I understand that, tests and trials come, definitely. But I just want to be truly happy. Now, my happiness doesn't necessarily may not equal your happiness,
That's
but yeah, exactly. So for me, it's like I just want my piece of happiness, which to others may be like, oh, well, that's it. Well, yeah, for me, that's all I really want. So it's for me, my happiness or my dollar is something that I can live off of. Have a blessed family, blessed community. Just I want everything and everybody around me to be blessed and live in their true happiness. So whatever it is, for me it's please give me $1. To somebody else's, please give me $100. To somebody else, it might be give me $1 million. If that's what makes you happy, by all means, just be happy.
Yeah. And the thing that you were saying that really struck me was that one about self love and self worth. It sounds like you've been there and struggled through that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My self-love, like it took me a while to find myself. It took me a while to find my peace. It took me a while to find my passion. It took me a while to just find me. So when I found me, it was like a breath of fresh air. It was like, that I guess that was one of the things that also made me not have a problem with choosing a title. But once I found me, I'm not willing to give that up, if that makes sense. Like I'm not willing to give up my peace. It took me years to find it. I battled a lot of things within myself. And, so once I was able to find myself, it just the goal of me writing it was like, man, I'm pretty sure that there's other people out here in the world that's also having the same thing. They're going through the same thing. So if you don't love yourself, like you have to love yourself, regardless of what you may be going through. For me, I wanted to love myself, but I didn't figure out how. I couldn't figure out how, where to start. Like I couldn't figure out certain things. So as I grew older, I listened, I learned, I grew, and I was able to learn. I was able to love myself. So, but it took me a while to get there. It was not easy by any means. It was definitely hard. That's why there's some, like you said earlier, it might appear that my journey might become cheap.
Yeah, but the thing I'm looking at, you said it took you a long time to find yourself. But how can you even lose yourself in the first place or even lose sight? Because how can you find something that already found because it's there for all your life?
Right.
So how can you?
For me, it was greatness was like, I believe that greatness lies in everyone, right? But many people don't tap into it. Like you'd be surprised, like how many people know, like if you ask a person, what is your passion? Or who are you? A lot of people struggle with those questions. Who are you without describing what do you do for a living? Who are you without you? Like who are you? What is your passion? What do you love to do? So for me, I think that for me, greatness was in me. I couldn't figure out how to tap into it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying? Like I couldn't figure
Yeah,
out
most
like
definitely.
so I knew that it was something more that I wanted to do. I just didn't know where to begin. So for the longest time, I was trying to find out where to go. But I had to ultimately sit down and say, all right, well, Terrence, the person you need to deal with is yourself. You got to start with self. So I had to learn, all right, I got greatness in me. How do I tap into it? So that it took me a long time to get to that point of accountability and then sit myself down and to say, you know what, Terrence? Yeah, you have some good things in you, but in order for you to pull it out, in order for it to be pulled out, all right, you gotta address it. You gotta hold yourself accountable. You gotta do certain things that you may not be used to doing. So it just took me a while to find that part.
Whoa, I get what you're saying. And but you said it took you a while to find that greatness in you. But as a father, would you think, or even growing up, would you think one of the responsibility as a parent is to guide a child to learn,
Hmm.
even learn about the greatness, or even show them a path to try to lead them to finding it? Would you say that's one of the roles?
Absolutely. I think, being a parent is definitely something that you want to uh lead your children to greater paths or whatever their calling is.
Mhm.
One of the things that I've learned as a parent, once your children get older, it's up to them to choose. It's up to them to kind of choose where they go. I believe in God, so God can tell me all day long to do one thing, but it's up to me whether I'm going to do it or not. So it's still,
Yeah.
the responsibility still comes as, okay, I have two children now. One's a teenager, one's younger. So if my teenager decides he wants to do something that is not positive and is something outside of the foundation that we as his parents have taught him, then that's the decision that he's going to have to live with.
Mhm.
So it's one of those things where, as a parent, of course, my job is to lay the foundation, show you and lead by example, but show you how to live a positive life, but show
Yeah.
you the direction that you should go. But ultimately, because a parent, like, I personally feel like parents are the first primary example that children see. So I have to now live in a positive light, but I don't want to just tell you, I want to show you. But when you get
Yes.
older, you have to now make sure that you choose the right road to go down. Because I
Yeah.
can't make you do it. Like, I can make you do something when you're 2 or 3 years old. But when
Mhm.
you're 17, 18, 25,
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
start getting older, I can't make you do anything because you're
That
grown. So
that is true. That is true. And if so, you agree with that the parents should help guide them. So
absolutely.
when you were growing up, were your parents there for you to like grab on to them and say, "Mommy, I don't understand this," or were your father there to say, "Yo, daddy," you know?
Yeah, I was blessed to have, well, I grew up in a single parent household.
Hmm.
So, but I've known who my father was. I know who my father is. So for me, my mother was a strong woman of faith, still is. So she instilled in me the importance of putting God first, and just making sure that, obviously, laying the foundation for me. A lot of my struggles, and my family is grounded in God too. So for me, it was, they prayed for me. They showed me through their actions where I should go. But when I got older, I
Yeah.
strayed away. Like, I went, so
Hmm.
grateful enough, my family was there for me, still is. So I feel as though as I got older, I just strayed away. So
Hmm.
I had to ultimately sit myself down and say, all right, your grandmother, your grandmother prayed for you all the time. And, she would tell you to read, certain Bible verses and certain books in the Bible and whatever, to get you on the, to get you to see, and to
Hmm.
find your purpose. So, I was, even like I said, yeah, and still growing up in a single parent household, like, I knew who my father was. So we would have conversations every now and then, but, as far as like family, like, they just was really, um, they just enforced, like, the life of God to me. So it was just ultimately up to me to grab hold of it, which took some time.
Yes. Yes, I get exactly what you're saying.
Mhm.
But we don't want the people them feel lonely. So guys, remember you
Yeah.
can always, always share a comment. You can always send a message, ask a question. Don't be shy, we're all family here. And Mr. Terence is willing to answer any question.
Absolutely, any
Yes,
question.
Katie, and the internet is indeed back. Thank you. Yes, I'm so happy. Hey, TalkTruth fam, thanks for joining us. Yes, guys. Oh my God, we don't know if I'm you and happy, but me miss you. Oh my God, real talk. Indeed, indeed, indeed. True words of wisdom. It kind of reminds me of everybody hate Chris, the dude from across the street. Yes. Oh my God, he was the G. I usually watch that, you know. Oh my
I
God, that
haven't
was
watched this show in a minute.
yes.
Is it
It
one?
it's important for one to find themselves. Indeed, I think. Oh my God, you want to even take that comment? You want to refer to that comment, the previous one about it it being important to find ourselves.
Absolutely. It is definitely important to find yourself because for me it was like I had to find myself because like I didn't want to be one of those people to go through life and not know what my purpose is. I need to know why was I created? What am I here to do? What like I need to find myself. How do I properly love myself? Like some people don't know how to properly love themselves. It may sound crazy, but some people don't know how to properly love themselves.
Yeah,
And I,
man. Yeah, I think it's very I think the society we're in sometimes poison or
mhm.
yeah. So have you ever had those experience being poisoned by peers or by social media or anything of the sort that allowed like made the process take a little bit longer?
um, honestly, when it came to I wasn't really one to struggle with peer pressure. I was always, and even now, there's no one who is my worst enemy more than me. I just believe that, nobody can hurt me more than me. So growing up, when I would do stuff to get in trouble, I wasn't necessarily pressured by people. It was because I did it because I wanted to do it, even though I knew it was wrong, whatever it was. So for me, I had to learn how to step out of my own way. I had to learn
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn to not do certain things. If I wanted to achieve certain things, man, listen, you got to step out of your own way because right now you're making it so much harder on yourself than what it is. Like life, it has a lot of good days, but it has bad days too. And by you standing in your own way,
Is
exactly. So by you standing in your own way, you're making your bad days worse.
mm-hmm.
So I had to learn how to step out of my own way. So for me, my biggest problem was me. Still is. I'm not really too worried about people's opinions as far as
Mm-hmm.
like from a peer pressure standpoint because I'm content with who I am. It all goes back to self-love. See, if I wake up and I tell myself who I am and I know who I am and I know who I am from a spiritual standpoint, I'm good. I know my self-love, I know my worth, I know my purpose. So I'm not gonna really be pressured into anything. So the self-love is definitely important, but I wasn't really peer pressured into anything. There's very few situations I knew growing up where I was actually kind of
Mm-hmm.
somewhat peer pressured. And that's because I actually wanted to do it. So even then it still wasn't it still wasn't peer pressure. So
Yeah, interesting. But the thing that I wonder, I don't want to even misjudge anything or people getting the wrong idea.
mhm,
I just asking for a little bit of clarity. You said you usually put yourself in the way to get into trouble, right?
mhm, absolutely.
You wanted to get into trouble. Is there any specific reason why? Was there like a lack of attention at home that really made you want to just get into trouble so people actually notice you or
For me, it was growing up, I felt misunderstood. I
Mhm.
felt not heard. Uh at the time, I want to say when I was about 16 years old, my grandfather passed away. So for me, my grandfather was like my superhero. Like for me, my
Yeah.
grandfather he was my everything. So
Mhm.
when he passed, that really like hurt me bad. Like it really took a toll on me. So at that time, I just checked out. And I grew up and I'm the only child. So I grew up used to my own feelings and thoughts and stuff like that. So for me, it was like I always felt misunderstood. So growing up, I felt like if you weren't paying attention to me, I'm gonna make you pay attention to me one way or the next. So if it means me not doing something, even though I know I should do it, so it was misunderstood. Like I felt misunderstood. Even now, sometimes I kind of feel misunderstood. But once again, I've learned how to deal with. I know myself, so I don't really worry about it. But at times, it's like I'll spot it and I keep it moving. But growing up, I felt misunderstood. Many days I felt misunderstood. I felt like, you know, my opinion probably didn't matter to some people. So, you know, when I lost my grandfather, he was a person I felt like I could talk to about anything. So when you lose that person, you know, it kind of, a part of me died with him. It felt like so.
So your grandfather was basically the father that wasn't really there.
Absolutely. He was man. I would put my grandfather, over from a physical person standpoint. My grandfather was that guy. I put him above everybody. So when he passed, it hit because he showed me how to live through his actions.
So
it wasn't just his words.
So at what age did he die?
Say it again.
At what age did he pass away?
Well, I was 16. I was going into my senior year in high school.
So how did that really affect you school-wise? Did you started to get into more trouble than that time?
Yes, I did. I got into my senior year. I was growing up, like I said, my family has they put the importance of God in my life. At that time, I knew who God was, but I wasn't really following. I was like, yeah, whatever. But I was old enough to know that at that time, like I knew, like the older I got, the sicker my grandfather got. So I said to God, you know, God, man, just, you know, my grandfather's always been there for me. Please let him just live for me to see graduation. I think that he deserves to see me graduate high school. We started school in September. My senior year, we started school. My grandfather died like 3 weeks into the school year. 3 weeks. Like I was hurt. I was upset. I didn't talk to God for years. I was upset, hurt. My senior year, I would go into class and it felt like I was just sitting in class and it felt like everybody was moving but me. Like I just was sitting there. I didn't really have much to say. The teachers would call me out on certain things. I would get in trouble. I would get sent to the office. Once again, I just felt hurt. I felt abandoned. I felt, you know, and not at the time, obviously, when you're a student, there's thousands of kids in your school, you know, but it felt like, you know, I just felt alone, if that makes sense. I felt alone.
I know exactly what you're saying. I understand completely what you're saying.
Yeah, see, and that's what I'm saying. And it's not a good feeling. Like I felt alone. I did cocaine when I was 16. One time.
Whoa.
That's when I knew I was low. Like I did cocaine. I was 16 years old. I was hurt. I needed to feel something because I didn't really feel, you know, when I first found out he passed away, I want to say I cried every day for 3 weeks straight. And I cried hard. Like my body hurt. Like it was hurt.
I thought men shouldn't cry. Shouldn't cry.
You know, and that's probably why I cried so hard, because that's what we're taught. Men aren't to cry. We're not to show emotion. So when I actually did cry, like I couldn't stop. And my body would hurt. And I locked myself in the basement and I would cry. I did that for about 3 weeks straight. And then when I got to school, like I said, it was just hard for me to really talk. So
3 weeks. 3 weeks straight. So that means you would have a good supply of water to replenish those that you lost.
I just felt misunderstood. I didn't have anything. I was in school literally just sitting there, I didn't have anything to say. I felt like I said, a part of me passed away with him. So I felt like, you know, that hurt. So I went through serious depression mode. Just
it's
serious.
Not even me, and I can feel the pain. Understand. Oh, at 16, it's basically at 16 you lost your father.
Right. That hurt. You know, so, you know, but as time went on, I learned to live. You know, I learned to, once I found myself, you know, my grandfather wouldn't want me. My grandfather was extremely active in his community. So, you know, the things that I do, like I do to emulate him. So, you know, when I do stuff in the community and write the book and stuff like that, those are things that make his legacy, keep his legacy alive. Like, I'm a firm believer in, you know, when people you love pass away, you know, it's on us to keep their legacy going, you know, take the good things from their life and apply it to our lives and keep going. So that way their legacy, their name never dies. So over time, like I'm definitely good with it now because I definitely know that he's in a much better place. But, you know, at the time I was hit.
Yeah.
I was hit.
So I'm going to take another look over the comment section because I know the people really want to ask some questions. That's the first thing that came to mind when I saw the book, the title of the book.
Yeah.
When you wrote the book, Terence Doctor, did you ever feel like if I had $1 for every time you discover something unique about myself, then you'll be rich?
Absolutely. And I say this all the time, and it's a joke, but it's actually a truth for me, right? So my last name is Doctor, right? And that's like my real last name. So while I was writing the book, I often thought, like, man, listen, because I often get told all the time, you know, if you were a doctor, your name would be Doctor Doctor. You know, and I've been getting told that forever. So if it was one thing that I could get $1 for and I'd be rich off of, it would be that, just off my name. Man,
Doctor,
if every time I got paid $1 by someone that said that, I would be rich. Millionaire. Like millionaire rich, like Scrooge McDuck swimming in dollar bills. Rich, but it was and I was thinking that I think that that gets said to me at least once a day.
You know the funny thing when I saw your name, I was like, did they actually miss the order of his name? Is it supposed to be Dr. Terrence? I was like, this is the first time I've ever heard the last name Doctor.
I get that a lot. I get that a lot. I really do. I get that a lot. If I could get paid just off that statement,
Whoa.
I'll be rich.
So another question here about crime. I'm going to bring it up for you guys to see. Do men cry?
Men do cry. Some men don't. I'm not a crier. I would say that the older I get, I'm learning how to feel. I'm learning how to, you know, for me, when I'm going through something, I'm trying to work through shutting down. Because that's something that I'll do. I'll shut down. I won't say anything because in my mind, I'm trying to figure out how to cope with it. I'm trying to figure out, you know. So as I get older, I try to express myself a little more. I still don't cry, but if I feel the need to, I won't hold it back, if that makes sense. I try to be more.
I truly get what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying?
I do. I don't really.
I'm working on it. It's still a process.
Yeah. I don't even remember the last time I shed some water.
Exactly. So like I'll cry, and like even when I cry, it's like I try to suck it up. I try to suck it up. You know, so you know, but men do cry. Men do cry. You know, I know some men that, you know, they're in tune with their emotions. And that's a blessing to find a man that knows how to, and to know a man that knows how to show that.
The funny thing about these people, because I do know how to get in touch with my feel. I think they interact. They're much nicer people in this world because it's like they try to look through the world on somebody else's eyes. And also, like a little secret to all those emotional men, if you guys know how to use it wisely, you can tap into those females' emotions as well.
Man, listen, it's unique. I will say it's a process trying to learn how to get in touch with your emotional self.
Yes.
And to find a safe space. Like, if I do cry, like, are you gonna make fun of me because I'm crying? Like, do I have a safe space to cry? That's
And
another topic.
I
A
think
lot.
if you're afraid to even cry in public, you can go in there. You can go in there, look at bedroom and ball.
Right.
You
Right.
see, tears are healing. Hi, Genesis.
Yeah. Tears
People
are
are
definitely healing.
being
Tears are
too many.
definitely healing.
Yeah, and see, this is so true. But I think the society is becoming more adaptable on this matter. But it's still there. People are more often mean to men who cry. Yes,
Yeah.
true. But I think it's shifting. It's not as bad as it used to be.
I can see where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I can see where you're coming from. I think because I think that we're talking about it. Like the fact that we're talking about it now more. Like I've been involved with a lot of like panels and discussions about men, like how we can get in tune with our emotional side. How can we, is there a safe space for us, creating safe space for us to kind of talk? And like the comment said, tears are healing. Men, we want to heal too. We have a lot of things that we have to get over and heal from, so to say. But I think it's finding a safe space. For me, it was, I don't want to cry because I was always taught that, as a man, you have to, even if things don't go your way, you have to look as though they are. You have to look the part. You can't, like, tears are a sign of weakness and you don't want to show that. So for the longest time, I went through a mode of, I can't cry. Like, I don't have time for it. So what in essence
You
I was
know,
doing was bottling my feelings up. So then when it finally came out, I was
to be honest,
crying in the basement for 3 weeks.
I get you.
So
To be honest, I have mixed feeling about the whole crying and the strength thing, because there are times when you need to like hold it back to be there for your family, because sometimes you need to provide the support at the time. But I'm
I
not
agree.
saying that you should hide it completely, but you have to, I would say you just have to like know when to like hold it back just to be there for someone else.
Right. Right. Right.
So
I,
yes, some people teach their boys not to cry, and I think that is incorrect teaching. The funny thing about it here in JA, there are times when I don't know if it still happened, but when I was growing up, and a lot of young men, you drop, you even get a cut, and you feel the lick.
mhm.
Yeah, man. Like it's like it was a cultural thing, but I see it changing. Like it's not as bad as before.
Yeah, yeah, and it depends. Like it definitely depends on, like, that's why it's important to have a strong circle around you as well. Like you got to be around people that make it. That also helps too. You have to be around people that be around some good friends and good family members that understand the importance of, like, man, listen, it's okay to cry. Like I teach my son, listen, man, if you got to shed tears, it's all right. I'm gonna be here for you. It's okay to let whatever that's bothering you, go ahead and let it out. Now, granted, I don't want you crying every 5 minutes. Like that's something totally different. Like if you're crying every day, every 5 minutes, it's like, okay, like what's going on? But in a situation where it's okay to, you know, shed tears, all right, it's okay, son. I'm here for you. I'm here for you.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say nothing. I want this to be a safe space because I want you to understand, like, I don't want you to be that guy that has his emotions all bottled up, because at some point it has to come out, and how it comes out, man, you just don't know.
Yeah.
They just don't know. Like
Jesus Christ cried, so what makes us better or more prideful than him?
that is true. That is true. That is true. Hey, and it's like, once again, it's one of those things where we as people have to understand, especially as
Mhm,
men, like we have to understand that it's okay. You know
mhm,
what I'm saying? It's okay. But when you're being taught, hey, listen, men don't show tears, and it's being taught from, ever since you were a child all the way up to, throughout your life, you know, it takes a while to kind of switch out of that mindset. You know, it takes a while to switch out of, you know what, it is okay for me to cry. It is okay for me to, you know, it's okay for me to shed tears. You know, when Jesus cried in the Bible, it wasn't no one, at least to my recollection, no one told Jesus to stop crying. You know, and in the Bible it said Jesus wept. It didn't then say right after that one of his disciples told him to stop crying. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, he was still around people that, you know, they embraced the fact that he was crying. He saw that they were crying.
He was in our society. If he was here, it would be like, you crying? Stop
Exactly. Exactly. They'd be like, hold on, Jesus, you're Jesus and you're crying? Like, why are you crying? Like, you're Jesus. You see what I'm saying? So it just depends. Like, it's hard to break out certain things that we're taught from childbirth.
Yeah, I have to take because this, as human being, we must be in touch with all our senses and emotions. It is a part of our hum, humanly instincts. Humanly instincts.
I agree.
We need to release.
I
Yes.
agree. Here's a question. But do you think how do you get in touch with your emotional side if you were never taught how to? Like, what do you think?
It's hard. It's like a trained assassin. I think about it like a trained assassin because they are taught to suppress their emotion. So when they're killing, it's like it's like it could be even their mother and they just kill them with no remorse. And it's like you have to sometimes cut down a tree and destroy it in order to plant a different seed because you can't plant a tree on a tree.
Right.
But the only way you can even start that procedure of planting a new tree to learn how to even get in touch, you have to first see the fault. You have to learn to see that how you suppress how do you put
Yeah, you got
aside
it.
your emotion? I'm trying. Put aside your emotion, or even how you even deal with it. You have to
Right.
realize that it's flawed because you can't change something unless you know that it's incorrect.
Right.
So that's how I see. And there's another question here. Question: if your son cries every 5 minutes about something that really hurts him, what would you think of him? Every 5 minutes.
If he cried every 5 minutes about something that hurt him, my first thought process would figure out what it is that hurt him. Like, I got to figure that out first. I don't have a problem with him. Like, it depends on the scenario. It depends on the scenario. Like, if, you know, we know that death is a part of life. We know that. So if one of my sons, God forbid, friends passes away, and I'm around and he cries, like, obviously, like, you're crying, like, okay, you know, that's an acceptable moment for you to, you know, you have that safe space. Versus you go outside and you trip up and you fall and you got a little mark on your wrist and you're crying every 5 minutes and there's no broken bones, no nothing. Like, to me, it's like, okay, like, you're really crying every 5 minutes over that. It depends on the scenario. So it depends on, like, if you're hurt, obviously, in any with any one of my kids, if you're hurt about something, my job as a parent, like, I want to know why you're hurt and create a safe space for you to properly express what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're going through. Like, I want to know what you're thinking and feeling. But at some point, there has to be a moment where, okay, we got to get up at some point. I don't want you crying it's like I said, it just depends on the situation. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that because even I wouldn't even say it's even different for women. I think there must be a time when you have to know that yes, I've cried and I've expressed, yeah, but you have to learn to move on. You can't stay crying forever. You have to learn how to go forward.
We definitely got to learn. Yeah, that's what men and women. Like, I know a lot of men who don't know how to move forward. They're still maybe not from a physical standpoint crying, but they're still making excuses I'm pointing the fingers or about what happened. They haven't learned how to move forward. So it's like obviously creating a safe space for people to feel comfortable and your children to feel comfortable expressing what they're going through. Because I don't ever want my children to feel like I'm not listening to them. I don't hear them. I'm not there when they're hurting. But at some point, it's like, okay, we cried. Depending on what it is, I might even shed tears with you. But at some point, we got to get up. We have to move forward. We got to get up. So even if you don't want to, even if you're still hurting at some point, we have to move forward.
I agree with that. So now, after you spit all those knowledge, I'm going to take some look at the comment because I have some heated question to finish asking. You can get in touch with your emotion side by watching a movie, writing therapy, and relearning. Maybe even through mentorship and getting in the Word of God. That is true.
That is true.
For movie, it's kind of tricky for me. I've only cried once, and I was a child when I was watching movie, but I haven't reached to the point of crying in movie in 10, 15 years now. I don't even remember when it happened. I would always tell someone to understand why that boy or man is crying. Ask question.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Ask questions. Absolutely. We got to figure out why that young man or that boy is crying. I would like to once again, is creating a safe space. A lot of men, at least that I know and talk to, a lot of men just feel like there is no safe space for us to show emotions. So with that, along with the fact that many of us were taught that we can't show emotions, then when we do somewhat show emotions, we get joked on, we get laughed at. It's not a safe space. So now it's, what do we do? So if I see like any one of my friends, if they're crying, listen, hey man, if you're crying and I'm around, listen, I'm just here to listen, man. Whatever you need to get off your chest, go ahead, talk, man. I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm just gonna listen. Whatever you need to get off your chest, whatever you're experiencing, I'm here because you my friend, you my brother. I don't want you to hold that in because I know what it's like to hold stuff in for the longest time. And then it finally comes out. And then sometimes when it comes out at like the worst possible moment.
And even the wrong emotions as well.
Exactly.
We bottle up that sadness till it end up developing into anger.
Exactly. God's definitely a major point in that. Definitely. I had to learn that. Prayer helped me a lot. Prayer helped me a lot.
Guys, hearing these brilliant words of wisdom with Mr. Doctor here with us. Doctor here with us.
Oh man, see, that would have been that dollar added.
You have to get his book. So now, the meat of the matter. Why did you really write this book? What inspired you?
What inspired me to write the book was wanting to inspire not just young people, but I wanted to inspire people that whatever they're going through, that they can make it through it. I wanted to inspire. I mainly wanted to inspire because essentially the book, that's why it says, please give me $1, Journal of Life Lessons. So it's essentially my journal made public. My book is my journal made public. So, growing up when times felt a little rough and I felt misunderstood, I would write. So I started writing when I was about 14 or 15 years old. Just started writing. So the goal of it is I'm a firm believer in, we go through things to not only to help ourselves, but to help other people. So we all have a story that can at least help one person not give up. So the way the book is set up is I wanted it to be a book of inspiration to help someone to stay forward, keep God first. I know at times it gets hard, but keep pushing. So it was more so a inspirational book of wanting, and especially for me, and writing for me is therapeutic. So, at the same time I wanted to inspire other people, I'm also writing my feelings down, and it's it's calming me down and relaxing me based off of days that I may have been writing and it wasn't going so good. So the purpose of the book is to inspire, to inspire and encourage, no matter what your age is. It's at least one thing in the book that you can relate to. I would think at least one.
I get what you're saying. So, yeah, you decided to want to inspire people. So, maybe release this book now.
Right.
I mean, no one's writing tough. And then, but did you enjoy writing?
Writing was tough. Writing was tough because I'm an extremely private person. So in order for me, I'm a firm believer in order for me to want to help someone, inspire somebody, you have to be transparent about certain things that you may not, want to discuss. It's not me saying I'm going to tell you my whole life story, but what it is saying is I had to be transparent. So for me, that was hard, being transparent. But also, like I said earlier, my biggest enemy has always been me. So for me, it took me a long time to complete this book. A long time to complete this book because I overthought it. I thought, man, I'm writing this book, but people aren't going to read it. They're not going to pay attention to it. I'm wasting my time. Like I was literally, some days talking myself out of it. So I was in my own way. So once I learned how to stand out of my own way, I had to, that was one of the things that helped me finish the book. But it was tough. I had tough days and I had easy days. So that's a two-part answer. Like I had easy days and I had tough days. I would say I had more. I don't know. I would say it's fairly equal because things that I went through, if I had the urge to write it down or what lesson I learned from it, I would just write it. I would write how I felt. So it just depends on what day it was. But for me, honestly, there were tough days and there were easy days. But I would have to say overall, it was more easy days than tough days. Because I like to look at things from a positive standpoint. So
I can see you can take $1 and make it happiness.
Absolutely. More good days than bad. Let's stick with that.
So it seems like you've been through a lot. So what would you say is that instant, that situation that really hit you to like turn your life? Is it, you ever know them time that you get you're a driver, right? And you're on the highway and you speed, and then you just meet a corner, you just have to make a quick turn. What was that situation? What was your corner?
I would say when I found out that my son was on the way, when I found out that I was having my first child, that's when I would say that was that moment for me where I knew I had to change. I knew I had to, because for me, obviously, I'm no longer living for myself. So for me, I'm like, okay, you have a child in the way. So now you have to be there for the child. So knowing that I had to do something to improve my lifestyle. But then again, that was also the challenge because I didn't know who I was. So I'm a young father trying to find myself, trying to be a parent, not really knowing how to fully even be me first. So it was hard for me to try to be a parent when I didn't even know who I was. But I just knew I had to change. I knew I had to focus on getting it right. So for me, that was the like people say the aha moment. That was my aha moment or my car moment, where it's like, all right, you found out you have a child in the way. All right, now you can't live for yourself. Now you say you want purpose. You have purpose now. You have a reason. You have a meaning. That you have something to live for. You know what I'm saying? So it gave me something to live for, and that started my journey of self-love, self-worth. Because years prior to that, like I said, I was, after my grandfather passed, it was many years where I was just existing. I wasn't doing anything. Kids, like, yes, kids definitely change your life. They definitely change your life. I tell
Yes.
my son all the time. He doesn't really believe me, but I tell my son all the time. I say, man, you saved my life. You came at a moment where I needed uh organization. I needed something to go after. You came at a
So,
good time.
so you're saying that before your child was here, you were existing,
Mm-hmm.
but aren't you existing right now? What would you say is the difference between living now for you? I'm talking about you specifically. Living now and existing before.
Oh, I'm living now. Here's the thing, right? So before my son was born, so we talking teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I went through a lot because I didn't understand who I was. I didn't understand, and then when my grandfather passed away, that was like that added on to, what I was already going through and experiencing. So I was just existing. Like I was just, going through life, making my mistakes, not caring. Now, when I have, my son and I have my queen and I have my daughter and I found my purpose. Like when I have my purpose, like when I found my purpose and I started getting my life right on track with God, like that's when things started coming together. So now I'm not just existing, like I'm living, like I wrote a book, something I thought I never would do. I
I get
never
it.
thought that I was going to be an author. I never did. It started off, my book literally started off with me writing in my journal. Like I just wrote down on a piece of paper. Like that's how I started. I never thought that days like this would come. So when I see people that may have my book or they might call and text me like, man, when you said this in your book, man, that really helped me because I'm going through that right now. Or I'm thinking about this right now. So for me, the difference was, before I found myself, my passion, God, and all that good stuff, like I was just existing. I was just going through life, just living. But once I was able to find that passion and go back to what we talked about earlier, as far as like tapping into the greatness that's in all of us, that's when I started living. I started smiling a lot more, started opening up more,
Mm-hmm.
started speaking more. I get asked to, speak a lot, talk to young people because,
Mm-hmm.
young they're the future, so
Most
why
definitely, we are the future.
absolutely. So why not use certain things that I've been through to help them? There's a young person that might be going through something that identical, or just a person in general. They don't necessarily have to be
Mhm.
young, but when you lose somebody that you love, like that hurts, or when you go through, addiction to alcohol or certain things, like I know what that's like. So in the book, I had to be transparent about certain things. So now, like I'm living life, like I know, because there was a point in my life where if you asked me what I wanted to do and who I was, I couldn't tell you.
Mhm. I get what you're
But now,
saying.
exactly, now I can.
Whoa, whoa. Truly, well said.
Appreciate it.
Well put. Is many a times people don't understand that living and existing is two different things, and
Exactly.
it all change as what you said. It all change when you understand yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's
And
well said, and sometimes even looking back at it, sometimes I have to just laugh because even me, it's like I think it's something that many people, if not everyone, face is that the shift from existing and living. And I
right,
always think it's not even like that, it's always shifting from living to existing, then back to living.
right, right.
Well,
I,
you read, even not, like you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that. This life we live is a beautiful thing when when you sit back and you look at it, man. Every day is a day that we have to learn and grow.
Mhm.
You
Guys,
know,
his title might be asking for $1, but he's giving you more than what he's even getting.
you know, hey, I appreciate it.
But I think that struck out when I was reading through your bio. Something that really struck me. Why did you really decide to say, yes, I want to be a youth advocate? What made you decide that, yes, I'm going to be a youth advocate?
Because like I said, I think the young people are our future. And I know, we hear that saying a lot, but I truly mean it. The young people are, they are the future of this world. So inspiring
Mm-hmm.
them to, like, prime example, when I talk to young people,
Mm-hmm.
I know what it's like to be their age. They don't know what it's like to be my age yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the goal is, all right, I may not be able to relate to all young people, which I totally understand. But there is one young person who I can relate to. Why not try to help that young person to
Mm-hmm.
avoid some of the mistakes that I made when I was their age?
Mm-hmm.
Me versus so whenever I talk to young people, and like I said, it's not like when I talk, it's not just to young people, but I just want to see young people succeed. I want to see anybody succeed. You
Thank
know,
you very much. Thank you very much.
absolutely. I want to see anybody succeed. Like I really do. So when I talk to people, when I talk to people, and then when I talk to young people, like I try to imagine, all right, I'm talking to a room full of high school kids. So
Mm-hmm.
when I'm talking to them as if I'm talking to myself when I was in high school. What would I want myself to know when I was 16, 17, 18 years old? If I'm talking to people who are older, if I'm talking to people who may be a little bit younger than me and we're just having conversation, same thing. Like when I was 27, what was I thinking? What was I experiencing? What was I going through? So for me, being an advocate, like I want to make sure that our children, especially like in the city I'm from, Hopewell, Virginia, I want them to have resources, programs. So like if you're going through what I went through when I was 15, 16, and you lost a loved one, I want there to be resources for you. Go to counseling and talk to someone so you don't feel like me when I was your age. You don't feel misunderstood. You don't shut off. You don't hold your feelings in. So it's just being an example
Mm-hmm.
to somebody to let them know that listen, life you're gonna go through something, but you can overcome it. Like you can literally overcome it. So
Mm-hmm.
like that's just my passion. Like I love this. I love to see people win. I really do, man. Like, and it's a bonus to me when they're young and they get it. Like I know so many young people who get it, and I look at them and like, man, they seem to got it. At least from the mental standpoint, it's like
Mm-hmm.
they got it. Whereas when I was 17, 18, I had no clue, but they got it. So, you know,
Mm-hmm. So after completing your please give me $1 book, after you've been through the journey, what three words would you say would describe that?
I would say
I know it's a
trans
tough question. I know it's
yeah,
tough.
what three words would describe the book?
Yeah, three words.
Transparency,
Mm-hmm.
inspirational,
Mm-hmm.
accountability.
Mm. I'm really glad I got the chance to interview you tonight. It was amazing. It was amazing.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I definitely I'm thankfully thankful for being here.
And I'm here jotting down some notes, trying to get some it's always good to write down what you've learned.
It's and see that's how it starts. See, that's how it starts. Many people go through life assuming that they know everything and
Yeah.
that they can't be teachable. Like no matter how old I am, I'm teachable. I stay learning all the time.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, indeed. And I just want you to just leave. What would you want to leave with the viewers here tonight? Just leave that one thing you think is essential for them.
find your self-worth. Take some time to know who you are, to learn yourself, for me personally, you know, God helped me with that. So I prayed, I meditated, I put a lot of effort into learning about myself, learning what I needed to improve on, accountability, stand in front of that mirror or sit down in front of that mirror and make the correct adjustments to your life. If you know you're not living right or you know you're not doing right, it's okay to admit that to yourself and go after your dreams. Hold yourself to accountable, move out of your own way, love yourself. We all have great things within us, but nobody, like, you have to tap into that. You have to, like, a lot of people want a good life, but they don't want to put the work in and get to find out who they are. Once you find out who you are, doors start opening up. Once you find out who you are, what you love to do, doors literally will start opening up. So find yourself, continue to grow, be a student of life, learn and apply it.
No, man, no, I think we hear that properly. The last three words you said, nothing, we don't remember, 3 or 4. More want to say that last piece there. We not even want to say it, more want to shout it. Tell, we not think they hear it. More want it ringing at their ears. Repeat it.
What did I say the last thing? Learn. What did I say? See, sometimes it
Learn
just
and
goes up.
apply.
Yeah, learn and apply. That's what I said. Learn and apply.
No, man, I think you have a bigger voice than that.
Yeah. Learn and apply. This is what we
Guys,
own.
Here, learn and apply.
Learn and apply.
Everything will come in there. Every heard the way I go do, learn and apply.
Learn and apply.
Thank you very much. That was well said. And thank you very much for coming here and inspiring us tonight. I hope you have a wonderful night. And I hope God continue to bless you. Because
you too.
Oh my God. You did that. I feel inspired right now. Right now, I feel like I could have just go outside, lift up all 20 block and fling it. Because guess what? I feel I can do anything right now.
That's where it starts. Absolutely.
Thank you very much for taking the time. It was wonderful being here. And I think this is why Mr. Honey is here. Thank you for joining us.
Look at her. That's my queen.
Thank you very much. It was a wonderful night, wonderful interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You have a good night. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, and the pleasure is all ours. The pleasure is ours. And guys, remember, you can all give donation and continue blessing us so we can continue blessing you. Guys, it was a wonderful night to have you guys here. And guys, remember, real talk, real people, live. Thank you very much, and I hope you guys have a great night.